brothers and sisters of the world.
And Joe is back, so am I. That means only one thing. Inter has won the previous match. 2 out of 2. I think
Fucking go.
it's a fifth year in a row that Inter wins 2 matches out of 2, the first two in a season in Serie A. We're all stoked about that. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm amazing. Inter has won the match. A historically difficult match back in Sardinia. In we love Sardinia as a city. What we don't like, Cagliari. Usually, the only thing about Cagliari that actually was amazing was Rajan Angolan. We took him, and now we took the 3 points. How are you, my friend? How was the match, and what are your thoughts on the fucking game?
Well, the match was brilliant, especially the first half. Um, I think that it really couldn't have gone any better in the first 45 minutes. Um, Taram is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about this match. Like the guy was a beast. Everything except a goal. I mean, I don't know what you thought of him, but I was mesmerized by how he played. He was even better than I thought he would be.
He plays usually like a fighter. His game is that good that the average game of his is still a good game in the books of Inter, considering the third and fourth option strikers that we've had in previous years.
Yeah.
Now we have a more rounded team, I think, but I'm mesmerized by the options we have on the wings, both the left
Yeah,
side and the right side.
me too.
Dumfries scoring in the game. What did you make of both Dumfries and Turan playing on that side?
Well, actually, they connected very well. In fact, he connected well. Taram connected well with both wing backs very well. Um, I think that with Dumfries, he even said in the post match that having Quadrado there as a threat, as a competition, has made him much better. Um, he had a bad season last year for most of it. I still think he's a quality defensive fullback slash wingback, but I mean, he lacks the technical qualities that you would desire from that position. Um, Now, I think that he's still very good defensively, but to get a goal yesterday like that, I mean, it shows that he's been working on something and that he and Zaghi might have something in mind and the competition might be bringing the best out of him. What do you think?
I completely agree with you, but I think we we need to cash in on him probably next season.
Yes.
He is not a type of player that I usually go for, or I would like to play as a first fiddle in the team. I think he is a decent player, but nowhere near as good as we need a right wing back to be, especially in a system that Inzaghi employs, and a system that requires running all the fucking game up and down. And I think those positions, the right and left wing back positions, are the most important positions in a 3-man defense, especially.
100%.
The last two coaches that we've had in Conte and Inzaghi, the 3-man position was such an important position. If you remember, like Conte was using the players back then, and they were, after the 60th minute, they were tired as fuck, and we had no one on the bench to actually replace them. And I think we've had issues, and now the situation has changed. We saw an amazing game by, I think, the team as a whole. Even the commentator here in the Balkan said that Inter usually plays like full front, but today or yesterday Inter played in like the third gear, not even in full force. And we saw that.
Yeah.
We saw how easy it was to win the game. And Dumfries scored a really good goal with a lot of touch, with a lot of composure, and I really like I like the game. But let's go. from the beginning. What did you make of the lineup? Were there any surprises on your side? And what did you make towards what did you make of the first goal that Lautaro scored?
So there were no surprises in the lineup. It was as predicted in the papers. Um, I'm a little frustrated. I guess not frustrated is not the right word. We're 2 matches in, but a little disappointed maybe that Fortesi hasn't been integrated as much as I feel he should be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still think, and I would argue Mkhitaryan was probably the worst player yesterday. He was just not good on the pitch. His passing was off, and when his passing is off, everything's off. Um, but other than that, I like the lineup and Lautaro's goal. The composure on that was so nice. And then the link up, of course, on the wing to get it started with DiMarco and Thuram was excellent. It was a great team goal, but a fantastic finish by him.
I was surprised by the composure that he has shown. I didn't think that he had that in himself because we've seen Lautaro being so wasteful, and I think the most chances that he wasted in the previous seasons were due to him, his composure not being up to par and up to the level of the the creme de la crop of strikers. We've seen someone like Kane, Lewandowski being as composed as they can be. Lautaro lacked that, and I think that in the previous match and in the match against Cagliari yesterday, he showed an amazing level of composure, and he seems to be developing this season and entering the season that he will be, as some would say, the peak of his career, because he came last season close to winning the Champions League with Inter, being the main striker, being the main player, and nowadays and throughout the season he'll be the main not only striker but player, a captain, and I think everything. If everything goes up to plan, I think he'll have the best season that he has had in Inter's jersey so far. So the composure for the first goal was a key. Later on, we saw a few chances, a post before the first goal was scored. I think DiMarco has did or passed the ball to Lautaro in an amazing way with a lot of like a feather of a touch, and we saw an amazing goal by Lautaro. And then we go to the second goal scored by Dumfries. What did you make of that?
The second goal scored by Dumfries, the pass from Thuram was perfectly weighted. Um, just you couldn't have done it any better. And then Dumfries, I feel actually the finish was very nice, which isn't which isn't very typical from him. Um, I it's nice to see Dumfries score with his feet because, frankly, they're his worst asset at times. Um, but yeah, no, it was absolutely amazing. I think that was which goal was first? Was it the Lautaro or the Dumfries one that was first?
The Lautaro one.
Lautaro was first. Okay. Um, but yeah, it was a great cherry on the top. It really made that half to get 2 goals in the first half. It killed it. It killed it.
My bad. Lautaro's goal was the second one. Dumfries was the
Okay.
first one, and that's why I went back
Yes.
to Dumf. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So
Yeah.
I really like the goal that Dumfries scored, honestly, because he showed a side of himself that we haven't seen in previous matches. Because I don't know why, but as you said at the beginning, it seems like he's playing better now that he has a competition and a player that's actually competent to replace him as a right wing back. And I was just mesmerized by Dumfries because he had an amazing game, and I think although many people like him, the bar considering his abilities is still low,
It's still
because
very low. Yeah.
yeah, because physically he has everything that a player needs, especially a wingback. He is a dominant player for his size. Most wingbacks are shorter and slimmer than he is, so he has everything that he needs to have at least physically, to dominate that position. And I think this season we will see an Inter side that most often than not stay the same. We kept the best players that we have in our team, and they're just upgrading the players or player by player and the bench for the season to come. I really liked the build up play for Dumfries' goal, and I think overall we have showed in the previous two matches that Inter not only has the players to dominate, but also has the bench to be competent, and everyone can
Yes.
replace everyone basically. What I know that you said about Fratesi, but do you think that there might be a chance for Fratesi to start in the next few games, considering Mkhitaryan went out with an injury?
Yeah, he got the knock.
Yeah.
Inzaghi said he was in a lot of pain after the match. Um, I think if he's still in a lot of pain, obviously I think Fortes is the first choice to come in. Maybe Sensi, but Sensi's never really been Inzaghi's first choice. Um, yeah,
Since he's no
he's
one's first choice at Inter, it seems.
no. They would love to get rid of him if anyone offered anything. Um, but I think certainly after the break, if Mkhitaryan returns from injury for this next match against Fiorentina, um, I think Fortesi will definitely get minutes. So that's one thing I'm happy about. And one thing I also wanted to say about this match was that I'm happy. One thing I saw the most that we didn't see early last season, even though we picked up 2 wins at the beginning, the balance is right with this team. He has the
Agree.
defense properly set, and that's what impresses me the most.
I completely agree with you. The balance seems to be getting better and better as the games or as the play by play, I would say, because the game by game it's too early. But play by play, I think we have been showing even more flair than we usually do. I like what I see from the team so far. The only thing that honestly surprised me in the game against Cagliari was a subtle thing, but I think it says more than we tend to see. Since coming in instead of someone like Cristiano Aslani. Do you
Yeah,
think there's an indication of what there's to be seen from Sensi? Do you think Sensi has a future at Inter, or is just what? What do you make of that situation? Do you think he doesn't
it's a
start
weird.
Aslani, or he doesn't play Aslani because of flair, because of quality, or because of experience that Aslani lacks? Maybe.
It's a weird one. I guess what I'd say on that is I think they are giving Sensi till January to prove himself. That's something I read yesterday. I'm not sure if that was a report or not, but that's kind of how I feel. They're going to give him till January. Stay healthy, show us what you can do. But if you can't do that, we'll consider our options. If he does that, because his contract ends at the end of the season, maybe they consider an extension. Um, but that's up to Sensi. Um, in terms of him and Aslani, I think they genuinely look at Aslani as just a regista. I think that's how Inzaghi feels. And I think that's how those above Inzaghi feel. This guy is a regista and only a regista. He can't play at Mezzala. He can't do anything like that. So it frustrates me because I think I think Aslani can play those positions. Um, what do you think?
I do agree with you, but instead of using Sensi as the last sub, I think in my opinion, he should have moved Çalhanoğlu to Mkhitaryan's position, as
Yes.
Çalhanoğlu played the exact role last season when Brozovic was the regista in the team, and just put Aslani as the regista, because minutes like this are very valuable. We've seen that,
Yeah.
at least not. I don't think we've seen that at Inter, but we've seen that in many teams in Italy, especially someone like Juventus, Milan. They're integrating player by player younger and younger players as the season go on. And last season we've seen Juventus integrating players in such way for like multiple talents, not only one. We've seen other teams integrating more and more young players, and I think Inter needs to follow that trend because it's the trend of the future. It's a trend because of that. And I would have preferred to see Aslani, as honestly I don't see a future with Sensi. I think Inter had, as we have seen recently, around 40 million euros to spend. And I think the idea at the beginning of the transfer window was to sign Lukaku or someone like him. They wanted to spend around 25 to 30 million for Scamacca, but they had one big signing in their pockets. After signing someone like Arnautovic for 10 million, you have 30 million left, or circa 30 million euros. And that amount of money was spent most probably on Benjamin Pavard, who, according to the latest reports and according to Fabrizio Romano, is very close to joining Inter. But Inter fans are, and fully, with every single right they will be critical and not sure whether the deal will go through. Do you agree with the sentiment that Inter had money for a big signing, for only one big signing, sorry? And do you like the investment of money in a center back that will most probably replace Skriniar?
Ooh, so it appears as though they've used the Onana money to get Zomer, Arnautovic, and Pavard. That's how they've kind of divided it.
Yeah.
I like Arnautovic as a short-term option. He's only going to be here for 2 seasons. They probably overpaid for him. Definitely overpaid for him.
Agreed.
I think that he fills out your striking rotation nicely. With that being said, the way I kind of look at this is the striker market is really bad in our price range. It's not – there's no real – I mean, I guess you could say Scamacca was a perfect fit, but we kind of matched their offer, and he still chose Atalanta. So, I mean, we could have given them the more of a resale percentage or something, but you gotta let the market kind of dictate your strategy here. And the strategy, what it became clear was that you can get Pavard with the money, who's a top class defender, but Scamacca is not a top class striker yet. So I'm kind of happy with it from that perspective. And plus, Pavard is a fit; he's a natural fit in this system. I mean, we discussed this last week. He's gonna fit in like a hand in a glove. I mean, he's gonna love playing under Inzaghi. So yeah, what do you think?
I do completely agree with you on that point. I think signing I think first of all, I think the transfer market for a striker is bloated, and it's not realistic at the moment. We've seen, although Kane was in the last year of his contract, and although Kane is a world-class striker, paying 100+ million for someone in the last year of the contract is abysmal. And
he's
you
like 32,
have to have,
right?
yeah. No, but he's in his 30s. He should be in his prime.
Yeah.
They gave out Lewandowski and basically replaced him with Kane, with a fully fit and fully motivated Harry Kane. And I do agree with you that the market for strikers is so unrealistic at the moment. And I think the final solution, at least for Inter next season, should be going for someone from a lesser market, someone within South America, as we did with Lautaro, and going within Italy, although there might be some choice. If a player has a great season, his price will be higher than it needs to be, higher than his realistic price and how much they're worth. So I think going in for someone like that and being smart is the most important thing, because we've seen now officially Correa left Inter, I think we spoke last week, but it wasn't official as of yet. And talking about strikers, I think it's very much needed for us to mention both Correa and Sanchez, are as their transfers are very much linked to each other, making 12 million if Olympique Marseille gets the Champions League spot will be crucial for next season, as that
It's
amount of
huge.
money can cover. Yeah, then that amount of money can actually sign you a player of a decent caliber in South America, and I think that's the way to go for, because the trend happening in South America is most strikers or most talent goes up north to the MLS, and then from the MLS they're shipped to Europe
Hmm.
to various teams. We've seen someone like Thiago Almada, who's what, attacking midfielder, striker slash striker,
Yeah,
going
attacking
to
midfielder.
Ajax, going to Ajax, and using MLS as a stepping stone. So I think, going back to the point that we were making, is that, and to sum up basically, is that the striker options are very limited. I think I don't agree with signing Arnautovic for 10 plus million. I don't think
Yeah,
he's worth that much. But when you are put in a corner and when you need a striker that's experienced with a flair and as strong as he is, the options are limited. That can sign
yeah,
for you to be like the third option, fourth option. The options are limited, and I do agree with signing him. I just don't agree with the price. But as I tweeted a few days ago, um, someone mentioned like last year or a few years ago, is that when you sign a player, no matter the price, if they're good, no one will ever mention the price in 5 year time. But if he's shit and he flops, then everyone will use the price that you paid for him as an excuse, as an or as a fiddle to use against
yeah.
in an argument. And what do you make of now that's official? What do you make of Sanchez and Correa basically switching teams for the same salary?
I, I think it's great. Especially if Marseille qualify for the Champions League, it's even better. Um, Sanchez on a 1 year deal, to kind of piggyback on what you said, it allows you to go to South America next year and replace him
Yep.
with a younger striker. You just kind of put it back a year. Um, he's on a low wage this time. He's on only 2.5 million, I think, maybe three,
Yeah,
with
2.53, I
bonuses.
think.
Yeah, so it's much more manageable than last time. Inzaghi said he's not exactly fit yet, but he's getting there. Um, and we'll see. I think I'm very hopeful. He scored 18 goals last year for Marseille, so it's not like he wasn't productive. So we'll see.
He was very much productive, and I think replacing someone like Correa with Sanchez is an improvement, no matter the age. I think
Hmm.
on face value, you'll have someone like Sanchez that will be fit in more occasions than Correa was in the last 2 seasons, and
Which
overall a
is
better
saying
player.
something.
Yeah. Ahmed said in the chat it's 2.5 million euros plus a bonus,
Yes,
which is honestly an amazing deal. And
yes.
that's something that Inter does and Marotta does. They do the unexpected. They do what's the best for a team in the moment, um, and for the coach. Mattia also says that sending Correa was the biggest win of the Mercado, and
Yeah.
I think there's a real possibility of Marseille getting into the Champions League because their team is actually really good, and hopefully Correa has a great season. But honestly, I have to say that we have showed lack of experience or lack of interest in a sense because we are selling players for less money that we actually bought them for. You see Korea, Gosens, and it seems like although we are making money on transfers, we are wasting them on wasted talent
Mm.
or so players that doesn't do not fit at Inter.
What I would say on that is, oh, we'll get to that. Um, But what I'll say on that is Morata and Asilio over the last 2 to 3 Mercatos have nailed the small purchases, but they have completely fluffed the big ones.
Yeah,
Gosens was a big purchase, completely just didn't work. I guess you can count Lukaku was a big purchase, it didn't work. Um, and then of course Correa. So all the small purchases have overperformed, but all the big purchases have severely underperformed. So it's kind of put us in the position where we're in right now.
why do you think that's the case? Do you think there's any link between all those signings, and what's the common ground? Let's say.
I think Correa was a desperation signing because they wanted to sign Turam, and then Turam got hurt. So they
Yeah,
made a panic move. With Gosens, I think that was genuinely bad luck. Um, because I think he was. You could look at his numbers at Atalanta, and he was great. He was sensational. Um, no one would have predicted he would have gone like this. The fact that you got 13 million guaranteed for him can be seen as kind of a win despite his form. Um, with Correa, that was just panicking, and they shouldn't have made that move. That's 100% on them. But with Gosens, I don't know what you could have done because everyone loved that move at the time. I loved it. I just don't know what more could have been done.
I think everyone did. I think when talking about Gosens, it's a combination of bad luck with injuries and also bad luck with DiMarco coming into form when Gosens was signed.
Yeah, that's a big
And no
factor.
one no one could have predicted that, because when Gosens was signed, he would have been a first team player and a first option within the team, whatever he signed. And he was supposed to be at Inter, but DiMarco wasn't in form. Then the inform became a standard and an average, and he stayed as the first team player, as a first option. And it's a combination of bad luck, but I do agree with you for every single point that you've made, because at the end of the day, I think Marotta and Auxilio work best when they're put up against the wall. When they have no options, they sign a fluff player, and it seems like a fluff, but it's not a fluff, and then tend to go for the cheaper player that will produce so much more than signing someone more expensive. And at the end of the day, I I like how they work. I don't want
I do
Inter to
too.
become, yeah, I don't want Inter to become someone that spends 100+ million on a player, because although that sounds like an amazing deal, I think those teams tend to fluctuate between signings, and you'll hit one, but you lose three of them. We've seen with Atletico Madrid and Simone, selling Griezmann, then signing Joao Felix to replace him, and Joao Felix has been a bust so far.
It's been horrible. Yeah, they can't find anyone to pick him up even alone.
And I think the same problem uh, could have happened at Inter if we spent, I don't know, 40 million on someone that's not experienced. But I do agree with their philosophy for this Mercado. We've seen someone like Pavard go for 32 million. And although in the last year of his agreement, I think signing him, first of all, he's a perfect replacement for Skriniar. He is the perfect player for the system. And he's a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner with Bayern, and he was incremental in both of those terms and teams. So signing him is something that we actually desperately need, honestly. And I'll just share, if I can, yep, I'll share a photo of Pavar with Zilio that Fede Nerazzurra tweeted. Are you excited for the signing of Pavar? Because I think the episode needs to be mostly about the match that happened yesterday, but also signing of the best player of the window and the most anticipated one.
Yes, I'm ecstatic for the signing of Pavard. Absolutely over the moon. Um, I I really couldn't be happier. I think he's gonna fit in. I want him to start at Fiorentina. Honestly, that's how excited I am. I can't wait for that match if they can give him the start then. And that's not knocking Darmian at all. I think he could make Darmian better too. But no, there's Cecilia. Um, but I think that it's a perfect move.
Do you think
Yeah, and
we could have signed
I agree
anyone?
with Inter. Go on, Huristo.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say I agree with the comment. 8 out of 10 Mercanto. That's probably what it would be for me right now if it ends this way.
What would make what would make you go higher, give a higher grade than 8?
I guess if you sign, and I know there are a lot of Sensi lovers out there, but I guess if you sign a replacement for Sensi, or perhaps a younger keeper than Sommer, who's like someone like a Bento from Brazil, who we were after for a while. If you signed him to back up Sommer, that's a 9-10 Mercato.
Back up to Jan Sommer.
Yeah, because you need someone. That's what their original plan was. The original plan was to sign both Trubin and Sommer,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, so you need to kind of give the younger guy experience, and then next year and the year after, you would come in and start. Right now, without Darrow, it just kind of looks like it's a stopgap. So
Yeah.
you need something for the future. Sommer's 34. I mean, we'll see how long he goes. I have hope for Sommer. I have no criticism of Sommer.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way, the
but
save yesterday,
yes, yes, so good.
that
So
that needs to be
un,
credited.
yeah, people need to note that. People who are hating on Sommer on Twitter, and you know who you are, people.
Name
You
them,
need to note
shame
that save.
them.
No, you need to look at that save because that's not an easy save. He made it look easy. He made it look very easy, and he prevented a lot of stress at the end of that match.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you about the Trubin situation, but I think that's not something that would turn the 8 into a 9 because it's an 8 for me as well. I
Fair
think
enough. Yeah.
I think the striker situation, although we have noted how bloated the transfer market has been so far for throughout the summer, I think if we have signed like a top tier striker to pair up with Lautaro, it would have been, I think, a higher grade for me. I love both of the options on the wing sides, both on the right and on the left. I th- I d- I like the situation with Sensi because he's a low cost option, a player that's coming in from a loan that wants to prove himself. I know that he will train a lot more and a lot harder than he has been in the past few years. I think we did not need Samardzic for this summer, and although I like him as a signing, and all of us did, I think
Yeah.
signing him would have been just out of spite for everyone else or someone else not signing him. Like he would have been like fifth option.
Sixth. I mean, the thing is, too, it's a luxury move at that point.
Yeah.
You're basically saying let's strengthen our strongest position. And while I see the logic behind that, you got to get that right center back. You didn't replace Skriniar at that point, and that's what makes Pavard a better signing than Samardzic, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. I think signing Samardzic would have been a luxury move and a move that we cannot allow ourselves to make not in this stage of this.
In a lot of ways, it's a blessing it fell through.
I do agree with you, but it would hurt so much if he actually turns out to be an amazing player.
And he is going to turn out to be an amazing player, by the way. And that's the thing, is that he's so talented that it concerns me that this guy we're gonna regret that a little bit. But if Pavard turns out to be great, what can we say?
We wish him luck, and we wish Pavard a lot of luck because I think when we spoke to Dave, I think 2 episodes ago, we noted how important is it to have someone that you actually know and speak the language with in the team. And now I do like the idea of signing players from the Bundesliga because we've signed what, 3 players now? Turam, Pavar, and Sommer.
And Sommer, yeah.
And they have someone to talk to integrate within the team. And although we have someone like Turam who speaks both German and Italian, I think that will be incremental into having Sommer and Pavard being integrated within the team much quicker than they would have been without him. And
Well,
yeah,
go on. No, I was just going to say
uh,
that with Thuram, he also plays for the French national team. So him and Pavard have that link. And him and Sommer played at Gladbach for like 3, 4
oh yeah, I
years.
forgot that.
Yeah.
I think
So he
yeah,
has several
that's a
links.
good point. That's a good point. Uh, I never thought about those links, but yeah, that's a good point. And having those, I think, will help them get integrated within the team easily, or more easily than otherwise. And that's something that not many people have pointed out and said. And I think that will be incremental within the season, because I think today it's the last game of the Champions League qualification round, and we have
Draws on Thursday,
yeah we
right?
we have Galatasaray going through with Icardi scoring a goal today.
Oh,
So
lovely.
blessings.
Yes.
Yeah. This we have a few days more for the mercato. Do you expect something to happen in the last few days, or do you think this is the final team?
The only thing that's going to happen at this point is Agume will be loaned to someone. That's it. He's the last. He's the last piece of deadwood in the squad. Um, and that's the only move I expect. I think it's done. I think the
That's
squad
it.
looks good. Yeah,
No wins, no out.
just Agume. Yeah, that's it.
Do you think he's leaving?
He was with the squad yesterday, but I think they want him gone. They would really like him gone. With a loan with an option, if someone gets desperate, that'd be great.
I like him. I don't think.
You
Yeah,
like him, okay?
he just seems so composed on the ball when he carries the ball out of the midfield, and I think that's a quality in a young player that cannot be taught, that cannot be learned, and I don't know why he has not panned out for any single club that he has been loaned to. It's a curse that follows Inter's young players. Do you think? Do you think, as a last question, do you think we have improved the attack? Because I've seen few opinions and thoughts on Twitter of various people on the topic. Do you think our attack this season is better than last season with Lukaku and Dzeko?
I think this is a tough one. But I would say it stayed the same in terms of quality. Now, whether that's good enough for a Scudetto remains to be seen. Um, but I think in terms of quality, in terms of goals, because you've upgraded on Correa, maybe you've downgraded from Sheko to Arnautovic or Lukaku to Arnautovic, depending on how you look at that. But Thuram is a big get. I said it at the time that I think my bet is that someone will, in 2 to 3 years, and I hate to look at it this way, but someone's going to pick up that release clause he has in his contract of 95 million. I really believe that. I think he's going to be that good for Inter. So, yeah,
Really?
I'd say it stayed about the same. Yes, I think so. I think so.
That's a hot take, I would say.
That is a hot take. Yeah, I think someone's going to pick
Okay,
up that option, that
I like
clause.
I like that opinion. And as we're closing out the episode, what do you make of Inter's next match against? We play Fiorentino, right?
Yeah,
Sunday.
Fiorentina at home. Mhm.
What do you make of that match? What's your thoughts, opinions, and final prediction?
Well, Fiorentina are playing midweek. I just learned that yesterday. They had a first leg against Rapid Vienna last week that they lost in Austria, so they've got work to do.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
so they're playing midweek. They have They're going to be tired. Um, they blew their last match against Lecce pretty badly. They had a bad week last week, losing to Vienna, blowing the match against Lecce. His team, Italiano's team, still has big defensive frailties, massive defensive frailties. And it looks like on top of that, they're about to lose Martinez Cuarta to possibly Real Betis. So another center back gone. I think that they're both their starting center backs from last season are gone. So
Milinkovic is still here.
yeah,
Sorry,
Milinkovic is still there.
Igor left,
Igor left.
and now Quarta. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that ruins the stability of your defense. I mean, Milinkovic is a solid defender, but nothing. I think he's pretty overrated. Um. But yeah, I expect us to win. I got a 4-2 victory because I think Fiorentina will make it a little more difficult, a little more nervy than we expect. It'll be a bit of a track meet, but I'm reasonably confident.
I like that.
What do you think?
I like the bold prediction. I think it's gonna be a win. I think they're frail in the back. I do agree with you about their defense. I think Milinkovic is overrated, and by the time we play them, the transfer window will be closed. The third, yeah. And if Quarta leaves, that means they are in a big trouble. Signing someone to replace him is going to be difficult because he has been their best, I would say, center back in last season. And them going to the match unprepared with a striker in Beltran who has not scored yet and who seems like needs time to get integrated within the team, within the system that Italiano employs. I think it's going to be a win, a 3-1 win or 2-0, but I'm sure that we'll win by 2 goals. We should be back next week after the win, and yeah, thank you for joining me on such a short notice. I know we spoke yesterday, agreed on everything with a bit of delay. Now it turned out to be a really decent episode with a lot of comments, with a lot of positive feedback. So thanks everyone for joining us this week, and hopefully we'll be back after a win against Fiorentina. See you guys. Bye.